Welcome to a wonderful and hopefully happy Thursday, March 10th. Costas Verdes Thursday live show. We're going to dive into some both unexpected and unexpected things within the chart. First, things are simply moving sideways and choppy. That's continued. That's pretty expected. The way that just happened with a strong candle to the upside and a very strong red candle to the downside, that specifically was unexpected and statistically improbable to happen. We're going to dive in and check out this choppy price action and see if we can find some specific levels to determine when is this going to break out of this choppy sideways range. Here we go. Let's dive in.
Give me the thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a thumbs up before we get going. Hit that like button for me. Okay. Hopefully somebody can let me know that you can hear me. I want to make sure this is working okay. I'm still a little bit newer to live stream, sorry. I'm going to note a couple things first. Let's look at Bitcoin price in a few ways. I'm going to take off price itself, and this is the daily EMA fill of the 21 EMA and the 55 EMA. This is visually simply showing you when it's red, it's bad. When it's green, it's good. And it typically gets a significant amount of continuation. Okay, this isn't even the 5-day one, right? The 5-day one just crossed red, so let's flip to the 5-day so you can see that. When the 5-day crosses, typically means the second half. Historically, it's meant the second half of the bear market begins, or it means capitulation. Those are the only types of things that has happened. But on the daily chart, we can see here that that this has been red, and it's not price from this perspective doesn't really have a chance of getting too much continuation until candles can get both above this channel and stay above. Now, the resistance up here has been the monthly 10 EMA. Let me go ahead and throw that on. That's the monthly 10 EMA. And as a result of the monthly 10 EMA acting as resistance while Bitcoin is making higher lows, all of this is just a sideways range right now. In my analysis from yesterday, I really dived in and did a more micro range of Bitcoin and said that if price goes below the weekly 10 EMA, that's bad. And it did definitely dive below it, and it didn't even come up and use it as resistance. It just accelerated through. I did mention that in the video. It could be clear, cut, and dry. It could accelerate right through, and that's precisely what happened. I personally did not expect that to happen so fast, and here's why. This is something I was talking about, I think, with my VIPs or two of the tiers yesterday during a live chat. I'm going to take off all EMAs, and this is from a statistical candle, studying candle formation standpoint. You might like this trick. Typically, when you have a significant green candle off of what you can consider a low, whether it's a higher low or not, usually the next candle doesn't come all the way back down. Often, worst case, it only backfills halfway, and a lot of times it's either a quarter or a third of the way down. You get a backfill the next day, but in general, after a big move like this, you typically get some momentum continuing to the upside before it rolls over. So where my cursor is going now here, a big move to the upside, and things did not fall down until the first, second, third. On the fourth day, things started turning around. The momentum lasted for 4 whole days right there. And here, it turned around on a dime after a fairly big move to the upside. And if you go back in time and look at all these types of candles, here's one off of a low, or here's one off the low. Yes, the next day was red, but it only backfilled a quarter, and you got continuation to the upside. Usually there's at least a few days of continuation, even in a down market. This one had a pretty big move off lows. This is during Wyckoff formation at the bottom. The next day only backfilled a third. Then you got about a day and a half more of continuation after that. You typically don't see things turn around after that type of move the next day. This was unexpected. So the idea that Bitcoin is simply chilling out in this channel here, that is as expected. Let me show you my origin line channel right here. And this white line right here is the monthly open. It's the monthly open, which I guess I could go ahead and take that off for now. And it's expected that Bitcoin's just chopping around here for now, but what was unexpected is that it came straight back down and didn't get any continuation to the upside, didn't try to wick over here. I personally was not expecting that move so fast. However, it's just falling back into this trading channel and continuing sideways choppy action. Now, what we can try to say on the shorter time frames is, I would like to keep this really, really simple. If price can't get back above the master origin line, which it's ascending, right? So each day it changes by a little bit, but roughly right now it's close to 40,100. It'll be around 40,100 for the next 3 days or so, and then after 3 days it's about 41,200. So I would say around 41.1. As long as price is under there, then price is weak, and it's not gonna. It's bad. Anything, however, it's likely going to keep trading sideways until it breaks a specific point, and I would say this might be some type of horizontal as well. Let me see what horizontals. I would say as long as Bitcoin is above 36.7, around 36, as long as it stays above there even on a wick basis, right? A wick basis down here, come up. As long as it's above about 37K, then it's still considered being sideways choppy price action. So you have a range of 37K up to roughly 41K right now. In that box, it's going to continue trudging sideways. If it gets above this box, then you have an increased chance of a move up. If it goes below this box, you have an increased chance of what is very likely going to be capitulation of the beginning of capitulation. That would be the range to focus on right now in the short-term time frames. Because if Bitcoin can get it back above this master origin line, it does have a chance to try to get a decent-sized move up. This would be your box right now. Anything inside of this box, it's simply going to be boring, choppy price action. The reason why I'm stating this is because if people like clicking around on futures and day trading with crypto, it's going to be pretty tough to do that until a range is resolved. And right now, Bitcoin is simply up, down, up, down, up, down. It's very, very hard to trade. And unless you're trading something on 5-minute candles or perhaps maybe up to 30-minute candles, unless you're trading extremely low time frames, I mean, there's not a lot to do right now. I want to be really clear. And if you're trying to trade, if you're not somebody who's trading extremely small candles, it's likely going to be more profitable to not trade. As weird as that sounds, doing nothing at all might be more profitable than trying to make money out of this range, depending on the time frames that you're trading. Now, if you're dealing with things like options, I'm not referring to options. All right, more like futures and spot trading. There's not a lot to do here. However, once Bitcoin is either above or below this box, then I guess the party might, start heating up on being able to make money off of moves. And that is a pretty basic way to view things. And again, if I can stress one more time, I'm going to take off this box, take off my origin lines here. I'm going to put on the monthly 10. Yeah, the monthly 10 has been the upper side of the range since, I would say for almost a month and a half back. All right. I would strongly recommend having quick access to the monthly 10 on your chart. Let me take off the weekly 10. This has been getting tops pretty well. And what we have forming here is a higher low structure. So it's almost like it's forming a triangle here. And you might pay attention to the to this formation right here. This could continue going choppy and sideways for quite some time, but the reason I don't think it will is because of specifically the weekly 10 is crossing what is the master origin line here, and I almost think that it has to resolve itself. Where are we? Yeah, it's crossing the master origin line. I'm going to take off price. That triangle is saying this could go sideways for a significant period of time, but this signal right here in the past has gotten things pretty right. Either Bitcoin undoes it, it screams above it, or that's when it starts capitulating. Therefore, I don't think this triangle will get to that 80% fill mark here. I don't think it'll get 80% full. But I guess this would be another way of looking at the charts if I can draw a triangle here. Something to this effect. There we go. Yeah, it usually you get a range resolution out of formations to this effect when you get somewhere around to this point, but I have a competing type of analysis which saying it might not be able to get there. However, this formation typically does get there, so you have two I guess competing ways to look at price that don't agree. And again, when you're doing analysis, not all of your analyses always agree, right? If it's a strong trend to the upside, typically your different types of analyses, different ways you interpret the charts, they're all in line. The stars are aligning. But right now, due to and related to the choppy price action, a lot of the ways you look at the charts, they're simply not going to agree, right? And that's what we got going on right now. But the easiest way to do it is just, keeping that small, keep the monthly 10 on and maybe even the weekly 10, and just know that as long as it's above 37K, it's not really tanking necessarily. That's still sideways. And until Bitcoin's back above its origin line, at which right now for the next 3 days will be roughly 41K, it's likely just going sideways, and it's going to be hard to be a market participant. All right. I might take a look at ETH to see if ETH is doing anything. Yeah, ETH is pretty much following Bitcoin right here. I'm going to take off these EMA so we can take a look at this right here. This is the macro tilted range for ETH. It's currently using its 1/4 line as support, and it's using the area of the point of control as resistance. It is also stuck in here and essentially forming its own little triangle. Yeah, we're going to have a range resolution pretty soon, and again, remember, I've been very, even though my short-term time frame mindset changes frequently, which it should, and yours should too. That's why it's called short-term time frame. But I've remained mid-term time frame bearish because of these very drastic higher-term time frame bearish EMA crosses, which have gotten things perfectly in the past. And because it looks like we're going to have some type of range resolution soon for both Ethereum and Bitcoin, they're following each other. It does look like there's a decent probability that it will be to the downside. Keep that in mind. Definitely keep that in mind. But when it will break, I'm getting mixed signals and I can't really get a good read on it. And let me see if we can start having some questions over here. Maybe the bots that use the 10 EMA are not running anymore and have been altered. Potentially. So somebody asked, maybe bots, dealing with the 10 EMA and its programming, they're not, maybe their program's been changed, potentially, but, I mean, Bitcoin's respecting the 10 EMA pretty well right now. It's almost looking like that is the profit-taking point and where shorts are being taken on. Right around there. I mean, it's really pushing down price. Take off the origin lines. Price fell. This is going back to the 69K top. Price fell directly to it. Use it as resistance. Accelerated after losing it. Losing it means falling below it finally. Use it as resistance, resistance, resistance. Fake out to the upside, but it failed it. So it wasn't true resistance, but it came above and failed it. And this time, you might consider that resistance as well. It simply looks like, I would say if there are bots trading this stuff, which I assume they're, potentially half the volume of Bitcoin is automated type of stuff. It looks like there's something really related to the weekly 10, but it's a sell signal or a profit-taking signal. One of the two. The weekly 10 is mixed with the monthly 10 are really getting things right now in terms of upper resistance. All right, somebody wants me to look at Hex. Okay. Yeah, I'm not feeling too well today and yesterday, so I probably won't do the full hour here today. I do apologize in advance. Bounce right off that box. Okay. Well, I don't think this is, I mean, being on Uniswap and the way this is, you know, I don't know if people are trading this necessarily. I could be wrong about that, but due to my little knowledge on how Uniswap works, but I'm almost thinking that's where people, you know, aren't. I don't even know if you can do day trading type of stuff or frequent trading on that. But this looks like it's stuck in a descending channel here, and it's having a hard time getting out. Let me go to the 4-hour chart. Yeah, all these spaces in the candles means just the trading volume on this one exchange is very, very low. Yeah, I would say that Hex is doesn't really have a chance to turn around until it breaks above the top line of the trading channel, which it did here. But the second thing is comes back down and uses it as support. Until that happens, you have to realize that even if you have how big of a move to the upside, even if you have an 80% move to the upside, it's still falling. As hard as that is to accept, it could come all the way up here, and that would from the bottom of the channel. That would be an 80% move. It is still falling. It's falling with style, and I've made videos with Buzz Lightyear on it and stuff like that to try to make that point clear. But yeah, I mean, Hex can come all the way up to 18, 20 cents, and it is actually still falling. And that move to the upside would be considered a correction. Just like when things are a bull market, people are really comfortable with saying, oh, this was a correction or a dip, until you continue, right, by the dip. But in moments like this, your master arrow is down, and any move to the upside is also a correction. Similar to how the equivalent of buy the dip in downtrends is sell the rally. And you know, my targets for this, I mean, you can see them pretty clearly. I'm going to be interested to see if, you know, Bitcoin and the stock market are going to take one big spill. And this is where Hex will go if that were to happen. I mean, Hex is very, very likely going to come down here, 4 cents, 5 cents, somewhere in that range. Under those conditions, if Bitcoin doesn't have some type of strong move to the downside, along with traditional with traditional markets, then, you know, it could easily hang out here and then recover. Because Bitcoin did not have a parabolic top, therefore it might not have a capitulation of it. It's totally possible. But and you know, that would be something new that happens in Bitcoin, and which honestly Bitcoin has been doing a lot of new things recently. But Hex could go like this if there is no capitulation event, and then work its way out, something like this, and then really start rocking and rolling. Yeah, over time. That's with no capitulation event. But still, even in that case, I think it's going to take, let me put on something like the daily. I think it's going to take until summer, you know, at bare minimum, for it to be back strongly above 20 cents. It's going to take a while. It's going to have to round this out. It's going to have to do one of those. And if you don't see it doing like something like that, and you do see a big move up, well, guess what that means? It means it's going to come flying back down just like this did. V-shaped types of moves are actually unhealthy. You don't want to recover like that. Yeah, that's what I got for Hex. I still have these targets, depending on, you know, these boxes are non-capitulation and capitulation event. And I guess the 10 cents is already, 9.6 cents has already been hit. But I don't think it's done. I think it's going to play around in here a little bit longer at some point. Yeah, I think it'll play in here. It's got to make some type of U shape at best to recover. That's Hex for you. Hope you get better soon. Yeah, I don't feel horrible. I simply I don't get headaches hardly ever, and I have a headache. My throat doesn't hurt, but I can't talk very well. I don't know. I don't feel horrible, but I don't like headaches. I'm a wimp when it comes to headaches because I'm not used to them. And I don't know why I'd be getting headaches, I guess, the last 3 days here. Yeah, I'm typically headache proof. But not right now. Maybe I'm just freaking getting old. I don't know. All right, UTK. Yeah, I used to be into UTK when it came out. I think it was 2018 or so, or late 2017. All right, let's take a look at UTK. There's your more price history. All right, Bittrex chart has a lot more price history. So if you're a UTK fan, even if you deal with it on, KuCoin or or Binance US or whatever, the chart to really, have saved is probably going to be on the Bittrex chart. It seems to have the most price history here. Well, if it comes below this little triangle area here, it's going to fall straight down to 8.8 cents. Let me try to... Yeah, if it falls below that triangle, it's going to come straight down. It does have a strong chance of continuing to bounce there in the conditions that Bitcoin stays pretty steady, but your line to focus on would be connecting the very beginning of price history, kind of piercing through it, and whatever the first massive move up, that wick, all right, connect those two areas, and that goes to the recent wick low. You really kind of want to focus on that line mixed with this horizontal. That's what's making that triangle. As long as it could stay in or above that triangle, it's not going to have a big spill. But once it'll probably fall 50% real fast. And that would be probably capitulation targets if Bitcoin were to head back down. But as of now, it looks like it has a chance to, do something what Bitcoin is doing, is continue to use these trading channels here and float choppy and sideways up, something to this effect. It has a strong chance of doing that. I would really recommend making this line on your chart. That's a pretty important line. It's an extremely important line, actually, right now. And I think it's going to offer the support for price. I think price in general, assuming Bitcoin doesn't have a capitulation event soon, the price of this is probably going to move somewhere like this. Like in this area, probably not too much above this arrow and not too much below this area. It's gonna keep floating and chopping up. But yeah, your key area. I mean, this horizontal roughly at 16.5 cents. That's gonna be pretty key because that's the bottom of the triangle. But your initial warning sign is going below this ascending line here. That would be your warning shot, and then your final blow, more like, confirmation that this is going to really spill, is like a 4-hour candle closure below 16.5 cents. It's going to start spilling. Would it spill 50% immediately? No. Something like Cardano, it's slowly bleeding after it fell off its cliff at $1, right? Cardano hasn't, after this dollar line was broken, it came up, tested it, it's just slowly spilling down. That's something to the effect that UKT might do. So this is kind of like UTK's 16.5% line. 18 days later, Cardano's only down 20% below it. It's not going to be a spill all the way. And speaking of Cardano, I mean, this is not going to provide support. This is extremely unlikely going to provide support. I mean, the next support area is down here at 40 cents, just a heads up. And that would be roughly, I mean, that'd be pretty similar to UTK's situation here. It'd be a little bit bigger of a spill. UTK's support down below is 50% below. This next one here is about 60% below for Cardano. But they're in similar scenarios, although Cardano's has already fallen below and UTK is staying strong. Those are the things to watch out for on UTK. All right, somebody's saying magic. All right, so a community member asked about magic. Let's check that out here. I mean, this is straight down. I would not... maybe there's more price history. Hold on. It looks bad. I wouldn't be in this. Yeah, this is really bad. I mean, this is price discovery down. This doesn't. Yeah, this has very, very little chance of doing anything special anytime soon. I would say even you're going to have to go back to local highs at this point. Yeah, I mean, Magic Internet Money doesn't really have a chance in hell until it's above this box and uses it as support. But if it goes down even lower, I can lower I can then lower this box. It would have a chance down lower. But at this point, it's going to be somewhere between 328 to 342 is kind of your magic line in the sand. There's not much, anything up to here, even in that box, not going above using as support, anything even to that box is simply a correction to the upside, right? It would just be considered a correction before continuation. But it get above this box and use it as support, then, you have something brewing. Something like this, then you have a strong chance of continuing and getting above these local highs here. Actually, a really strong chance in that case if that were to happen. But as of now, this is kind of straight down. The one thing going for it is the volatility is reducing. So see, you have big movements. Smaller but yet big movements, still big movements, now smaller movement. It looks like the oscillations of it is reducing. That does indicate it has a chance to turn around, assuming Bitcoin doesn't have a capitulation event. It does look kind of close, but I think that would still be a couple months away before, I would at least say 45 days in the event Bitcoin, got strong here. I think this would still take 30 to 45 days to use this area as support. But that is one thing to note is the volatility of this, the swings and oscillations. Almost like if you pluck a guitar string, it's louder at first, or a piano string gets hammered down. The oscillation is big at first, therefore it's louder, and with time, it reduces in noise. That's kind of what that reminds me of. But yeah, this looks like it's going to continue making lower lows at this time until it's above this box and used as support. It looks pretty bearish to me. Okay, that's Magic, UTK. What other? It's young, but I mean, if you were to get into it now, your money would be stuck in, potentially just discovering new lows and lows and lows. Therefore, it could be better to be interested in terms of pulling, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, this magic Pokemon card. It could be wiser just to hold tether until there's something else going on. Because why have your money locked up in something that's probably going to keep either chopping and doing nothing or going down? But tether, it's just going to do nothing. And the two options for this is choppy, do nothing, or go down. Therefore, the options of holding tether versus this is better in that basic logic. You wouldn't be interested in this until you have a chance of it going up. That's how I'm viewing it. All right. Okay, another community member is asking about Algorand. That's a well talked about coin that I don't really ever look at. Maybe I should though. Let's see here. Algorand. What has enough price history? Ooh, this is not great. It's not horrible. Okay. Ugh. Yeah, you have a cliffhanger here. This is hanging on a cliff. And if it falls off, it's this. I mean, you would probably get a bounce at this level, but maybe not much more. It would maybe bounce at 50 cents. Maybe bounce at 50 cents. Yeah, maybe bounce at 50 cents. Give me a quick second here. This is Tim. Yeah, I'm getting ready. Oh man, sorry, man. Okay, yeah. So Algorand here, it is just like Cardano had a cliffhanger at $1. This is gonna have a nice its next support is, and that would probably only be a bounce support. You're really gonna want to focus on it maintaining above 68, 69 cents. And if it does, it's going to move straight down. I mean, and potentially very quickly down to 50 cents. And if Bitcoin were to have a capitulation event along with a strong move down in the traditional markets, it's probably going to come to here. I would say it would come all the way down to that point. Now, would it stay down there for a long time? No, but you would have wicks down there. And that range is somewhere around 33 cents. So the key areas are around 33 cents, around 50 cents, and 69 cents. 69, 50, and 33 are your key areas. I don't think it's really following some type of trading channel. This price is a little bit too goofy here. It's not following anything too well right there. Yeah, you have some pretty massive horizontals here. To the upside, I would say you need to get above any move up that's below $1.05. It's probably just a correction. This would still be a correction to the upside, but get above $1.05 and use it as support. So get above it and use it as support. Then you could start considering that a rally. But a move up to $1.05 without getting above it and using it as support is simply a correction, and you're likely going to continue moving down. That's how I would interpret this chart right here. And again, it's all going to be dependent on Bitcoin, right? So if Bitcoin can get above its monthly 10 EMA, then this could probably get above $1.05. If Bitcoin stays below its master origin line and continues down below 37K, then this is going to move straight down to 50 cents. If Bitcoin were to fall straight to 32 to 33, this is coming straight to 50 cents. Straight. Actually, it would probably move very, very quickly there. All right, that's Algorand. Yeah, we can take a look at IDEA. I mean, this is similar to what Bitcoin was in recently. Bitcoin was above its weekly 10, although right now Bitcoin spilled below its weekly 10. So from a weekly EMA posturing, idea is ignoring Bitcoin's fall right now. It looks like it's consolidating under its monthly 10 and ready to come above it and move up to 22, 23 cents. That's what it looks like to me. But really, the two things to look at is use your the MTF indicator that I have over here. Just throw on your monthly 10 and weekly 10, and that's really all you need to look at it for the moment. Until it breaks either below or above, it's simply going to stay inside of it. And these are the two things to look at. This would be your range resolution. And if up to the upside, I think it would move straight to 22 to 23 cents. If not a little higher, could hit 30, but between one of these two targets. And if it resolves to the downside, I would say it'll come straight back down to this origin line, somewhere around 11 cents. But until then, you're just going to get choppy price action between those two massive and very, very strong EMAs. But the current posturing of it, it's consolidating under a resistance point, and it's tested it 3 times. I mean, it looks to me like it wants to continue ignoring Bitcoin. And I'm really surprised idea did not come down anymore with Bitcoin's spill down on that strong 4-hour candle down. This is it's kind of impressive. It's not being partial to the project idea. Although I do have a decent bit of it, and I do stake it. It's all staked and has been since I got it. But even removing that bias, that posturing doesn't look bad. Now, a word of warning though, any coin that is temporarily ignoring Bitcoin, if Bitcoin falls down, but any asset could be like Atom or whatever. A lot of times, the asset that is ignoring Bitcoin as Bitcoin falls, it often succumbs a little later and makes up for that not falling Bitcoin very quickly. That could happen as well. I want you to stay alert for that. It could just make up for its ignoring Bitcoin for a while. And the move down to 11 cents, it's possible to be fast, but in order to keep an eye on that, you just have the weekly 10. As long as it's above the weekly 10, that's not happening. It's simply ranging here in a healthy way. So idea coming all the way back down to 14 cents is still very, very healthy. 14 cents up to 18 cents. It's simply chopping sideways, and it's looking pretty good. Yeah, and really, the longer it can stay in this area and form a new base, I mean, the better. Like, more sideways action could potentially be healthier for it. So a move down to 14 cents would actually be really, really good for it, if it can use the weekly 10 as support. I would imagine, though, if Bitcoin really starts spilling down here, idea would come straight back down to 11 cents. But Bitcoin is just choppy right now, so a lot of altcoins that are temporarily ignoring Bitcoin, if Bitcoin keeps chopping, then that altcoin can continue floating up. All right, who else has got? Somebody had asked about XPR. I missed that, sorry. The weekly 10 is your focus point for sure. That's a clear winner. That is probably the most important thing in price for XPR. The weekly 10 by a mile. That is extremely obvious there. This isn't 10 months old yet. What else do we have? What kind of EMAs do we have going on? That's interesting. Honestly, I would also throw on the daily 21. Let me take off the weekly. I would mix these two. This looks like it could get a squeeze play. This could pop up. But you'd want to focus. So this range is really tight. This range resolution is, this is getting ready to move, one way or another. I mean, if it drops below the daily 21 EMA, that's generally bad. Now, can you close the candle? But below, yes, without being a death sentence, but the next candle has to come back into it. This has a very, very, very tight range. And taking off the weekly 10, you can see that anytime that this goes below it, that's its next move down, the daily 10 EMA, right there. Or no, daily 21. This is the daily 21, sorry. Goes below, move down. Goes below, big move down. Resistance, goes below, move down. Goes below, little fake rally, moves down. So this daily 21 is getting things right from the support And the thing that's getting it right perfectly from the resistance point is the weekly 10, and they are converging. This is getting ready to have a big move. If Bitcoin can, take another leg up, this is going to have a pretty massive move up. It'll probably go straight to 2 cents, which would be probably like a 60% move, or that's a set. Yeah, it would probably have a big move. It would probably have a very big move if Bitcoin can get its footing here, and at least try to get back up to 41, 42K. This could have a big breakout at any time. But in addition to that, it could also have a big breakdown, right? It could easily have a big breakdown. But yeah, those are the two things to throw in your chart: daily 21 and weekly 10. It's getting the support and resistance almost perfectly. And I don't think that you're going to be able to find any other single things that are getting both support and resistance better than those two items. And if you do, then I would like to know about it. But I think this is about as perfect as you can get. In terms of trying to get general direction correctly, these two are, yeah, that's a cool chart. I usually don't mix the daily 21 and the weekly 10. This is an interesting, this coin moves very interestingly. Maybe because there aren't bots hooked up to it yet, and it's moving more, towards mass psychology and people trading it. That might be why it's in a kind of interesting scenario right here. Yeah, it doesn't look bad though, but just keep your eye out, in terms of a potential move down on the daily 21. That's a cool chart. I like how that one moves. Okay. Okay, did I get all the questions from community members? I did. All right. Yeah, somebody's asking about Chainlink. We'll take a look at that real quick. Man, this is really fun. This chart and Polkadot's chart look pretty identical. Here, take a look at that. And then take a look at DOT. Those two graphs look it's moving the same. Interesting. I mean, it's already fallen off its cliff. Its cliff was here. This looks like it's going to come down quite a bit. Yeah, that was its cliff. I mean, the next support, yeah, this is really bleeding. As Bitcoin makes higher lows, this is making lower lows. This is a perfect example of bleeding versus Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin has been making successful higher lows, and this is making lower low after lower low after lower low. As Bitcoin, since roughly this point, is making higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Yeah, this is what you call a bleed, and if you check the link BTC chart, it is really getting its butt kicked. And this has another cliffhanger. Yikes. Yeah, if it falls off this cliff on honestly, the BTC chart might be more important to look at for Chainlink. If it can't use this as support, it's going to start bleeding harder versus Bitcoin. Because it's going to accelerate down versus Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin has any type of down move while Chainlink is accelerating down versus the price of Bitcoin, it's gonna move down real fast, and it's gonna tag its lows at $7.50 here, at least on this chart. But it looks like Chainlink is headed straight towards $10.25. I don't see it bouncing before that. I don't think it can get its footing until it hits 10.25. That would be where I see it potentially starting to turn back around and doing a little U-turn here. Not a V shape, but a U-turn. It would have a chance, but I think it has to hit 10.25. And therefore, I don't think I need to give, if it were to start getting back above this area here first, which I don't think it can yet because it's got to find a trampoline. Like, there is no trampoline to jump off here. But in the event that Bitcoin had a powerful move up to 50K, which is still possible, this could find some footing based off of the trampoline of Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin could come in here and throw it a trampoline right here, essentially, even though it's not on the charts. and Chainlink would have a chance only because of Bitcoin to get back above $17, use it as support, and then have a nice rally. However, without a Bitcoin move up above 45K, this is going to hit 10 and a quarter with a very, very, very high likelihood. Yeah, this is bleeding hard. So is DOT, though. I mean, DOT is bleeding badly. I mean, it's also making lower lows for the most part, even when Bitcoin makes a higher low. This is starting to look fairly severe at this point. All right. Yeah, I mean, I would, somebody said Link seems to be holding up fairly decently. I mean, I don't necessarily agree because if Bitcoin is making higher lows at the date of February 23rd and Chainlink makes a lower low, I don't, I think it's bleeding hard versus Bitcoin. Yeah, this is just lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower low. I think that is, I don't know. I think it's looking very, very, very weak at this point. Yeah, this is one of the weaker, large altcoins and well-known altcoins. This and Polkadot, unfortunately. Yeah, you're welcome. XDC, CNS. Okay, we'll do CNS. On Ascendex. Okay. Yikes. This is weird. Wow. 25x run and a 12x run. I mean, I would guess that this is when a YouTuber talked about it. Both of those times, most likely. That would be the only reasonable explanation. There's nothing in the charts, saying it would. I guess March, this was technically altcoin season, so this makes sense. And this might have been the run up. Yeah, Bitcoin to 69K, so maybe not. Maybe it wasn't a YouTuber. These are coordinated with Bitcoin's run up from 40K to 69K and from roughly 40K to 64K. So I take that back. Those are timed with Bitcoin. So this only pumps if Bitcoin has a pump. And if Bitcoin were to have a pump up to 50K, this is probably going to hit somewhere around .0005, which would be a nice move up, 3.5x type of deal. But if Bitcoin hits 50K, this is likely going to stop. Yeah, 0006, .0006, something to that effect. This one's going to take a long time to recover. It could take all of 2022 to start breaking out of here. Yeah, this one's going to take a bit. It's going to have a long... If it's able to do that. I think this might be about the best case scenario. So this would be a longer recovery, in my opinion. Yeah, this is going to take a bit. It'll take till Q3, Q4 of this year. It'll be late fall going into winter when this has a decent chance of really doing something new. And the cool thing about it is, though, it doesn't seem its lows aren't technically bleeding versus Bitcoin, because Bitcoin down in September. Or no, like over here, it went down to 29K in April, May, something to that effect. I guess that is a lower low, but honestly, if Bitcoin had a capitulation event, what I'm trying to say is this looks like it. This looks like it. It might hold this level, and if it wicks below it, I think it would jump right back into it. I don't necessarily, for some reason, I'm not interpreting this as a cliff. I think it'll stay, if it comes below and Bitcoin really, really tanks here, I think it would pop right back up. I'm not saying this is immune to a capitulation event, but I don't think it would go a whole lot lower. Yeah, so that'd still be a 50% move. Yeah, I'd probably wick below and come right back into that triangle. But that's what I'm seeing. I don't think, now, could Could you get a 3x pump out of this potentially, before the end of the year? It's possible, absolutely, but I think that would be the most ambitious that I would put my expectations. Uno. Oh. Ugh. Yeah, this is... I mean, you have another cliffhanger here. Yeah, you really need to focus on 15 cents. If it hits 15 cents, it's going straight back to its lows of 8 cents. It'll have a 50% spill. Yeah, this has a cliffhanger at 15, 16 cents. However, its volatility has been able to reduce pretty well. And with that, it looks like it wants to find support here to me. But obviously, if Bitcoin takes a spill, this is gonna have a 50% spill down to 8, right down to 8 cents. It doesn't look like it's in too bad of shape though. This one is posturing makes me think that it wants to hold on to this. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good either. Yeah, the higher time frames are pretty bearish. The 5-day and weekly are saying this is going to come down below it. So if this is going to undo itself, the daily has to be strong and flip. It has to flip the 5-day and weekly charts. So if the daily RSI is under this white line at 50, so if the daily RSI is under 50, this is gonna spill. That would be one way to interpret this. Because the posturing kind of makes it look like it wants to hold it, but the larger time frames and their indicators are kind of disagreeing. So I would say 50 is the magic line. If the RSI can get above it, it has a chance not to spill. But until that happens, it looks like the higher time frames are going to pull this sucker down. Those are the two things to look at: daily RSI level and then the horizontal at 15 cents. All right. Okay, VRA. Well, this is what I drew several days ago in my YouTube video. Not a bad guess so far, right? I mean, it's a pretty easy analysis for this. Once again, this is one of those that has a support at 1.8 cents, and its resistance is the weekly 10. This red line represents the weekly 10. Its range resolution it's simply going to chop between those two until it breaks out specifically either below 1.8 cents or above the weekly 10. This one's very easy analysis. This is almost as easy as it can get. Yeah, that's it. Just draw a line at 1.8 cents and throw on your weekly 10. Here, throw on my weekly 10. See that? That's it. That's all you need for this. And if it were to break above its weekly 10, it'll probably have a little bit of trouble here. That'd be a pretty good profit taking area, but I don't want to postulate much beyond that until Bitcoin breaks out of its sideways choppy and up range. Let me show you an example of an altcoin that did lose. It made lower lows. Look. Just so you can know, a lot of you folks, have been asking me about altcoins, and I keep saying a cliff. This is what I mean by a cliff. Look, this was a cliffhanger. See this? And look what's resulted. Like, this stuff can happen to some of those coins that I've been talking about that I say cliffhanger. This is kind of an extreme case. 70% below the cliffhanger. This almost looks like, founders are bailing and trying to sell. I don't think it could go down that low retail-wise. This is people selling their coins who had invested on it and trying to recuperate. It looks like this is honestly really bad. This is real bad. This is about as bad as it gets, actually, for a cliffhanger. But your altcoins can, even if they establish some range, if they're on a cliffhanger, they can discover new lows. I'm telling you, it can happen, and it does happen. Is it guaranteed to happen on the altcoins that I looked at? Not necessarily. So this was my line where I thought it would break below. That wasn't a bad guess. Guess I can remove it now. But yeah, just a heads up, cliffhangers can move down very, very aggressively, very quickly. Keep that in mind. It happens, and it happens a lot. Harmony 1. Take a look at Harmony 1 here. Ooh. So its weekly 10 is clearly the resistance point. It's coming up on a horizontal. So it's already fallen off of this. It's fallen off of that. $0.05 to $0.07 looks like where it's headed next from a horizontal standpoint. Let me take off this EMA, but yeah, you need to keep on the weekly 10. As long as it's below there, it is targeting 7 cents until it can get above this this weekly 10 EMA. Okay, and any move up is a correction, and it is still falling. Even if it spikes up to 17 cents, it's still falling. And it is targeting it's targeting 7 cents until that point. Let me see if I can find anything else on this chart of interest here. Ooh, yeah, you're gonna want this line on your chart. This actually could be its master origin line. Ooh, it is so it's not falling off a cliff. It's falling. Maybe this is the true cliffhanger. Yikes. You're gonna want to draw that. Look at how I did this. Whoever asked that question, you need this line on your chart. You definitely need that on your chart. And, you can zoom into the 1 hour to see how, right now it's below it, and it's used it as resistance. So it looks like it is falling off this cliff. I think this is the true cliff, and it's not. So I think it is heading down. So I guess that is a second confirmation that its next pit stop looks to be 7 cents, which is going to be a pretty big spill. And the thing that could make that turn around, okay, that would, I guess, invalidate that is getting above the weekly 10 EMA. But until that happens, the mindset should be it's coming down to 7 cents. Phantom cliffhanger. Ooh, yikes. I wouldn't call one candle below it necessarily falling off. This is a cliffhanger right now. It is leaning forward in the direction to be off the cliff. I don't know if it's jumped yet, but its next pit stop would be 95 cents, but I don't think that is an area strong enough to support it. Maybe it would. It's got this. It connects to this too. It could. It would have a pretty strong bounce there at 95 cents. It would actually, it would have a strong bounce. But if Bitcoin were to have a capitulation event, it's coming to this box. And it would probably recover very quickly. If Bitcoin had a capitulation event, it'd probably go bam, something like this straight down and then quickly recover to get somewhere above here. But yeah, Phantom would probably come down to, it would probably spike to the 50 cent range, 50 to 55 cents, somewhere in this box, 50 to 55. But the more immediate bounce point, if it falls off this cliff here, is right at 96 cents. But it hasn't quite fallen off that cliff. So its current cliff is $1.25. And what it might do here is it might bounce and allow the weekly 10 to get a little closer before then dropping. With the weekly 10, something to that effect. I could see it bouncing. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to bounce, but I could easily see it testing the weekly 10 one or two more times. All right. Okay, I'm going to do KDA, then I got to go. KDA. Once again, weekly 10 is your big bad line, so you're going to need the weekly 10 on. The monthly 10 just came into existence for this coin, so it's now 10 months old. I might be able to find a different line here to help us out. Ooh. Let me put on. Ooh. This looks like it's getting ready to spill, actually. Yeah, being below its daily 200 like this is, I mean, this is going to be an EMA death cross with the daily 55 going below the orange line. So the blue going below the orange is an EMA death cross. This looks like it's going to have a big squeeze down. Yeah, so the daily 55 and the weekly 10 are fairly in line. See that? And they typically are, based off the multiplication of daily 55 and the weekly 10. But it's close. They're usually very close. So you can either use the 50, just watch out for the death cross. You could use the daily 55 and the daily 200, and if it can't get it back above the daily 55, this is going to have a big spill. This is going to drop hard, real hard. If it can't get back above that 55, this is going to have a hell of a spill. there is nothing like it could have it could sneeze here at $5, but it looks like it's coming back down to $1.90 to me. That'd be a pretty nice pickup too. But yeah, this is definitely in danger of a very, very large spill. I hate to say it, especially if you're a fan of this. Come on here, 80. Yeah, it had an 83x run. This oh boy, yeah, this could have a really big one. This is definitely susceptible to a massive drop, because it went up too fast. It didn't take its time to build support levels. I mean, and this right here, technically, it really isn't a support level. Like, this is not going to offer final support. Most likely. And, the saving grace is if it could end up putting a lot of time in here, yes, okay, it could then build support, potentially, but the likelihood of that happening, I think, is pretty low, given that it had an 83x run. So what I would do is I would keep on my daily 55 EMA and daily 200, and if it can't get, it needs to undo this incoming cross. This cross is going to be bad, and it needs to get above there and undo it and avoid it. This one's looking pretty bad. However, the cool thing about this is this could be one that, after it has a spill, if it were to have a spill, it would probably recover very quickly, and that could be a really excellent pickup. But yeah, I wouldn't be really interested in it until it gets under $2, or at $2. $2 or just under. All right, rock and roll. Hey, thanks everybody for being here. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10:30 a.m. New York time. I believe that is 4:30 Berlin time and 3:30 UK time. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for being here.